let's talk about somebody who made a lot of news last
Another
week.
good dude.
Great dude in Cameron Rising. Cameron Rising retires from football due to a hand injury. He becomes the offensive coordinator where he played at Newbury Park. I am a huge fan of Cam Rising. I want to share that in a second. Jim, I'm curious from your lens, like what did you see from the community, whether it's on the internet or people you talk to, about the reaction to Cam saying, "Hey, I'm done with football"?
Nothing but love.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, how could you not be grateful for what Cam Rising brought to you, not just to Utah, but to college football? I mean, he was one of those guys that kind of transcended just being, you know, popular at his own school. He was one that fans from of other teams, when they would watch Utah play, go, man, that dude just plays hard, and like that dude just seems to have fun and have this natural charisma. It's in a different way. It was, I think about, like, think about Washington State, how Gardner Minshew was kind of like that guy, that people just gravitate to, man, just like such a likable uh, player, to kind of really get behind. And that was really evident in that, which was good because obviously last year was not the year anybody, Utah staff, players, fans, anybody wanted to have. And a lot of that was the vacuum of not having Cam Rising there. You felt even just watching the game on TV, you could feel the energy, from that team kind of uh, lose itself a little bit when Cam got hurt in that Baylor game. So to have that community all kind of rally back around, kind of put what happened last year in the rearview mirror, crank up the bad moon rising, and and just be thankful for Cam and what he did, bringing the team to the Rose Bowl, the whole deal. It's just kudos to a great college career from Cam Rising.
Yeah, we messaged back and forth on social media, just kind of congratulating him on his storied career. And he's been one of my favorite guys. I can remember him coming out of high school. He's contributed to the book 5-Star QB, just on his path. He gave some great insight into how he not only had to navigate recruiting, but advice to parents as they navigate recruiting, because it's just a hard thing, right? There's nowhere place to Google, how do I help my son be a walk-on or a 5-star recruit? That's why we wrote the book, the impetus of it. And he contributed to that because he was a guy who went from a 5-star to a 4-star,
Right.
Which clearly that was a miss when you just look at the landscape of everything that's happened in recruiting. I have a couple thoughts on this. I want to start with one that surprised me just internally as I was thinking about it. If you go back in time when NIL began, you knew Cam Rising was going to get paid. You knew Utah is flush with resources, at least from my lens. After year one, it was like, there was always rumors, like, is he going to go to another school? Do we have to pay more? And it became a thing where I think a lot of fan bases, some in Utah, all of them around the country and we've all dealt with this of like, how do I navigate with NIL? Like, how do I feel about players getting paid so much money and then maybe being hurt? Maybe not playing at the level of expectation, maybe playing off the hook, like whatever it is. I think we've all had to navigate like the fact that it is pay for play. That's reality of football. Yeah. When he announced his retirement, my first thought was, I hope he got his. Like, I hope he, and not like in a aggressive nature, but like, I hope he got paid. Think about all of our friends or all of the friends listening. Like, when somebody gets laid off from a job, the first question is like, hey, did you get severance? Like, hey, I hope you got yours, right? And there's a negative connotation to that. But the idea is the same. Is like, you hope you maximized it while you were there, whether it led you to another job, whether it got you paid so you can rebuild your backyard and your garage, like whatever it is, like you hope you got something. And I look at Cam Rising now as a offensive coordinator in high school football, clearly not making anywhere near what he made in NIL as a starting quarterback at Utah. And I look back and I'm like, look at what he did at that school. Not, I hope you got yours and you put it to everybody who was paying it in the collective, but like in my opinion, he is worthy of a conversation as the most impactful Utah football player of all time.
Yeah.
of all time. I mean, I get Morgan Scalley was a great player. Of course, Alex Smith was a great player. There's a lot of great players that went to win Super Bowls, etc. Uh, Eric Weddle, he's been on this show, right? Like, I just go to what he did. Who thought when Utah joined the Pac-12 that you'd get to the title and or you'd win it and you'd be a constant in it every year, more so than Oregon, Washington, Stanford, USC. And when you face them, okay, UW, you kind of learn, right? I remember being at that game. Britton Covey hurts his knee in that ball game. Like, they lose with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, and then they come on back. They lose another heartbreaker to Oregon and Justin Herbert, and then they come on back after the pandemic, and boom, boom, and Cam Rising is the difference. Look no further than the play you know I'm talking about, which signifies Cam Rising and what Kyle Whittingham and Utah are all about. Gets clocked against USC, helmet pops up, and he pops up smiling with that signature wink. Let's go. I mean, that's Cam. Jim, that is Cam Rising. He led this team to back-to-back Rose Bowls, and it was horrible watching him leave both of those fields muddied and injured. Because in both of those games, you thought he was going to leave that field and in his press conference declare for the NFL. So the point is, like we say all the time on the show, the only guarantee in college football is that it is not going to go as you expected. Cam Rising went to Texas, was committed to Oklahoma. It didn't go as expected. He had to sit out at Utah while JT Daniels lawyered up and got to play after transferring. Like, he got, to me, done wrongly by the system early on. But it led him to have this storied career. And I think all of us, not only do we do what you referenced, which is shower him with love, but I think all the players now that are signing these deals in NIL, and I get it, some are out of whack, and there's no guardrails, and we'll get to that in a minute. We need to. It sounds like maybe there's a chance for that to happen. But Cam Rising's story is no different than the quarterback who gets cut after a minicamp, who gets cut after 1 year on a practice squad, and his career is done in football. Like, it's no different. So I hope that we can look at it and be like, I'm glad you got yours. You earned it, man. You earned it. You dealt with the praise. You dealt with the blame. You dealt with the criticism. You showed up on the field. You led us to unprecedented heights. Like, I just will have such a different lens on NIL moving forward. And I think I've made peace with it from watching Cam Rising have to retire. Like, I don't feel anything anymore other than, hey, let's get some adults in the room and try to help everybody. But if you sign for 1.5, good for you, bro. Because the likelihood of you signing for $40 million is slim to none after your college career. It's just the truth.
And what's cool, and before we move on to that future of the NIL, of what Cam is doing now, of going back to his high school, they've got a 4-star QB at his school. The head coach's son, who's already committed to Michigan, who, when Cam was playing there, was kind of like shadowed him like as one of the, and it's cool because that is kind of similar to like when Cam was playing at Newbury Park. Keith Smith, the former Arizona quarterback, was kind of that guy who came back and did that same thing. He was the offensive coordinator. So it was funny because I remember a couple years ago at Media Day when he was there, and I was like, hey, we got to talk about Keith Smith. And his eyes just lit up. But it was funny because it was like at the end of lunch, and like he had to go do another thing, which is funny because I'm the one who did all the schedules. So I have him so busy that I don't have time to actually talk to him about it. But it was like, that was the one conversation that hopefully someday I'll get to have that conversation with him to talk about, his relationship with Keith Smith, who, was a Newbury Park legend in high school, set all sorts of records, played at Arizona, was part of one of the greatest Arizona football teams of all time at quarterback there. And then he went back to Newbury Park and was the offensive coordinator when Cam was in high school there. So it's kind of funny how that all kind of is coming full circle in that regard. So that's always what I think about when I think of Cam, is like, damn, I still want to have that conversation about Keith Smith with him.
Oh, I love it. All right, we're efforting, try to get him on here in season 2 of Why Option. That'll be question 1. The Jim Thornby, Arizona Wildcat, pull from left field. I love that. What's going to be fun a year from now is, where will he be? right? Like
Yeah.
he can do anything he wants in his life. He's so talented. Does he stay back home, which is a great life in Southern California, an amazing community, keep coaching high school football? Of course, one day you'll see him be a head coach if he wants to be. Does he take the leap to college? Does he take the leap a la Davis Webb and all of a sudden become a quarterback coach in the NFL? Like there's a lot there. And you start looking at to your point, like the Brian Johnsons of the world, like all the people that are in the NFL that have came through Utah, whether it's Coach Whittingham's son, like it'll be compelling. And I know he'll always have an opportunity to go back to Salt Lake City. When he does, I want to be there because it's going to be a standing O, and it needs to be a long one, if not multiple.